Let's check this out.
Good morning, my name is Douglas Kruger. I'm a professional speaker and author of 3 books. Well, today, let's start with this simple question. Are you an optimist or a pessimist? In other words, do you look at life with a positive outlook, or are you a little bit jaded, a little bit negative in your thinking? You might ask yourself, what possible difference can such a simple little distinction have? Well, I'd like to explore 3 different scenarios and show you just how much of an impact it can have on your life. Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? Let's start on a huge scale. This beautiful continent of ours, Africa, has had a turbulent past. And when nations have come out from under colonialism, some of them have done very well and some have had incredible problems. Now, studies are showing that there is a vast difference in the thinking between the nations that prosper and the ones that struggle when coming out of colonialism. And here's the difference. It's a difference in optimism versus pessimism. The nations that succeed, the ones that prosper and do well coming out of colonialism, tend to have this kind of thinking. They see themselves as victors over. The ones that tend to struggle see themselves as victims of. You see the subtle distinction there? And it makes the world of difference. One nation comes out from under the oppressive past and looks at itself and says, we overcame, we are the victors, we won. The other nation comes out of exactly the same situation, and as they go forward, they say, we're still suffering because of the past. One tends to prosper, the other tends to struggle. So that's on a national level, but let's get a little bit more personal and get down to your thinking. Are you an optimist or are you a pessimist? Well, here's the kind of difference that it can make. We'll take the example of a young lady starting out in life, and she's on the dating scene. Now, something goes badly on a date. She meets a guy who's really just not the sort of man she wants to live her life with. He treats her very badly. This tends to happen to a lot of people in different spheres, but the reaction is the important thing. How does she think about guys, and how does she think about her life going forward? Does she look at all men as being awful? Or does she go, I'll learn from that experience and not repeat the mistakes of the past? That's the difference between optimism and pessimism. Optimists tend to be more resilient. We see negative things happening to us as opportunities to grow and to learn. And we think of ourselves as victors over the past, not victims of. Now, pessimistic people tend to have the opposite approach. They tend to become bitter about the things that have happened to them. They get stuck living in the past. They start to stew and think about the past all the time. There's a well-known US speaker who says, it's not the snake bite that kills you. It's the poison circulating in your system afterwards. And we get to make that choice. No one dies of a snake bite. They die of the poison afterwards. When something goes wrong in your life, do you hold on to that poison? Do you fixate on it? Does it become the most important defining thing in your life? Or as an optimist, can you learn from it, get over it, and grow as a result of it? Optimists have more successful lives because they're more resilient. The same thing applies in a business sense. Let's say that as a young entrepreneur starting out, you try to make your first sale, and it goes horribly wrong. Now, there are 2 ways of looking at that. The first is to say, well, it was my first attempt. Didn't know what I was doing. Let's try again and learn from what happened. That's the optimist's approach, and it leads to success. The pessimist, of course, says, well, that didn't work out. Nothing works out in my life. I won't try again. The problem with that is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you believe that things don't work, the more you act in ways that will prove that they don't work. Now, success works in exactly the opposite way. The more you believe things can work, the more you act in ways to make them work. And that's why there is so much power in the difference between thinking optimistically and pessimistically. My name is Douglas Kruger. I'm a professional speaker.
Hey Africa, how you doing? My name is Cleo. I'm representing Zambia. I'm 23 years old and I'm an artist, musician, hip hop artist. Yeah, that's me. I'm a little